Okay, there we go. All right, we're recording. All right, everybody. Hi there. I'm Allie Birch. I'm a nurse practitioner I live in Ithaca, and I've lived there for many years. I specialize in functional medicine, but my background is in internal medicine. So I actually worked as a hospitalist for many, many years. I was right out of nursing school. I was an ICU nurse, and then I was a hospitalist for 7 years. So we are like the internal medicine team of the hospital. So I feel like that was a lot of my residency. But going back about 25 years ago, I've always had a love for holistic and integrative medicine, including nutrition, so much so that while I was an NP working as a hospitalist, I went back and did a second master's in clinical nutrition and started my functional medicine training. And in my talk today, I'll go over a little bit about what functional medicine is as well. And I was explaining earlier before we started recording that I actually was not able to get my original presentation for today. I had some computer issues. And so I put this together over the last couple hours. It's kind of 2 presentations put together, but it will be enough where as we go through it, there's so much about the Super Kitchen Project that I'm really only going to talk about some of the pillars, but I will go over all of the pillars, show you what they are, and then we'll only really have enough time to go over a couple, but I'll give you a little snippet into the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And as far as time goes, I have to sort of loosely walk out the door around 6:30. So I'd love to go through the presentation, then I'm happy to do a Q&A. And just remember through the presentation, we're only going over a couple of these because within those, it's a kind of a deep dive. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm really excited to be here today. This program is new to me, but can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, perfect. So this is a passion project of mine that I am, and I'll explain at the end too, again, about my website for this isn't launched yet, and I'm creating a course called the Super Kitchen Project course. And it was really born out of working closely with clients one-on-one in the functional medicine realm. And really what I saw working as a hospitalist where people really struggle with food. Now, I just want to start off to say that this is a solo presentation. I have no, I'm not being paid to do this presentation. And when I thought about doing the presentation, my other presentation actually did go over some food ideas in the setting, right? Where I'm doing this presentation for the Cancer Resource Center. I would say anything in this presentation is, while I cover a broad aspect of nutrition, I always think that it's best to work with somebody depending if people are on medications, and I talk about immune supporting foods. A lot of these foods are very safe because we're talking about whole foods here. So I would say this, it's also important to work with somebody who can help guide you through this stuff as well, based on your own individual personalized health. All right, so who am I? Again, I'm Allie Birch. I'm a board certified family nurse practitioner. I have a master's in nursing and a second master's in clinical nutrition. I'm a functional medicine specialist expert. I was writing this, I didn't know what that's what I practice. I am trained through the Institute of Functional Medicine, and I'll explain what that is in a minute. I have a slide for that. And I'm the creator of the Super Kitchen Project, which really is a community platform, lifestyle, brand. I'm creating a course all around this idea of how do we create a sustainable, healthy diet to serve us well. It's not about being perfect. And I want to say that also, you hear me say that over and over again. I also have training in advanced mind-body medicine, and I'm a habit coach as well. And the Super Kitchen Project is on a mission to help people redesign their kitchens, mindset, habits, wellness for sustainable health and longevity. So it's a little bit of kitchen clean out, reset, redesign, because that is a basis of habit change, is more about systems and habits than it is about motivation. And then it's also about, thinking about our habits and creating intention around those habits. A part of that is thinking about how do we redesign our space to set us up for success? So this is one aspect that I wish you'll see in I'm not able to go into everything in this presentation. And maybe I'll just go through the presentation, then I'll pick that up at the very end. All right, so the pillars of the Super Kitchen project are intention. This is something I saw in my clients a lot, where people want to be healthy. They want to have healthy nutrition. Usually when everybody here showed up to this presentation because you already have the motivation and interest. It's important to create the intention, which means, and I'm not talking because you showed up, you have intention to really bring this into your life. But I have a lot of clients who have this disconnect between what they're eating and how they feel in their body, how this food they're eating is making them feel. There's a complete disconnect. So creating the intention and really like carving out the space. And unfortunately, we have to do this on a regular basis because we eat 3 times a day or twice a day or however much we're eating, right? We have to create some intention around creating a grocery list every week, planning on going to the grocery store. So that intention piece is one of the pillars. Mindset. I see the wide spectrum of mindset, people who are very obsessed with their nutrition and people who are on the opposite end who, and I always feel that it's because we really don't emphasize this as we're growing up in our culture. We live in a culture that we're inundated with inflammatory, highly processed foods, and our doctors and our medical people don't teach us this. So the mindset piece I'm bringing into the Super Kitchen project because it's opening up our mindset. It's letting go of kind of old thoughts and stories that we have maybe about fat being, unhealthy. And more than that, thinking about, I think a good mindset too is a piece of, we really have this idea in our culture that it's go big or go home, right? We're changing our habits. And really that we really set ourselves up for failure when we're thinking that way. Habit change really is making these small little changes. So I go into a lot of mindset in the Super Kitchen project because I think it's a really important spot to start. And then habits, right? We're always talking in our culture about habit change. We're thinking about changing our habits. I want to flip the switch on this in a lot of different ways where, again, we think habits are so much about willpower and motivation, and they are. We need to have those things, right? We need to want these things. But where we kind of fail with habits is that we have this idea that we have to have motivation. Motivation's very, very wavering. It's sometimes there, it's sometimes not. But what we know about habits and changing your habits is actually so much more about the system. So that's the redesign in the Super Kitchen project, is thinking about, all right, how do we think about our kitchen as a system? And I'm going to talk about it here because I don't have other slides on this, but thinking about our kitchen as a system of, I don't know who has a baking cabinet here who looks like a hot mess, right? You open it up and your flour and your sugar and you're like, what is even in here? So a part of the Super Kitchen project is creating that system where we have this organization where we open our cabinet and we know what's in there. So a little bit of kitchen and pantry clean out. And I actually recommend doing this every week when we go to the grocery store, of doing that to our fridge, wiping it down. This is creating a system that when you go to your fridge, that you're able to see what you have. This could include a little bit of food prep during the week, not about going crazy, but right, you're creating the system. And then we all, right, have good intentions, and every one of us is a human being that is just not perfect. I hate to break it to you. So we do our best, right? We do our best. And so we, and I'm included in this. And where I really saw this make a big difference in my patients was that what I was hearing from people, they would literally say to me, you know, Allie, I almost canceled my appointment with you because I ate a piece of chocolate cake. And I said, I hope you enjoyed it, you know, like it's okay, right? But so it's not about being perfect, but if we are, a lot of people have disordered eating, which is not necessarily an eating disorder, but we're just busy. We're busy humans. We might snack a little bit. We might skip lunch. What I encourage people do is to redesign that instead of going down that guilt pathway of, oh, I don't have enough motivation. Oh, I ate this for lunch. Now I feel terrible. I always say kind of break that like negative, again, mindset thinking, going down the rabbit hole. It doesn't serve you. And think about how can I redesign that? Did I not grocery shop this week? Did I not? Maybe I should food prep a little bit. Maybe I should make some salad jars, right? So again, the takeaway really is think about your kitchen as a system and just play with that a little bit. And then nutrition. You know, there is not one diet for everybody. We're all unique and different. I'm going to talk about this in a few slides, so I'm not going to go too much into this. But nutrition and healthy nutrient-dense nutrition is a big foundation of the Super Kitchen Project and what I see in clinical research to really benefit us. Community, because we all need community. It's very important. Organization and preparation. So I don't promote a ton of food prep. I would say this, if you like food prep and it serves you, then I think that's wonderful. But some people are the extreme where they're weighing their food, the food prepping. I think it causes a lot of anxiety and stress in people. So I believe in a balance of being able to just know like, okay, what foods do I need this week? All right, I'm going to cut up some purple cabbage and put it in a jar and I have some lettuce so that when you go to make your salad or your lunch or you have leftovers and you can quickly put things together, maybe you have nuts in a jar. So again, just these easy things as you're setting up your kitchen. Mindful eating, and I have a couple slides on this, so I won't go too much into it. Products. So in the Super Kitchen Project, when I launched the website, which should be in the next week or two, I'm really close to launching it. I have really kind of vetted good products that in my world of functional medicine, a lot of people come to me about, Allie, is this a good product, right? There are a lot of products out there that look healthy, but are even greenwashed in a lot of ways. And so I do recommend supplements in my functional medicine practice. And so I have advanced training in different supplements and nutrition, in nutrients. And so I'm always really on the lookout for good products because they're expensive. And other products I would talk about, this is a big list. This goes from thinking about how can our kitchen be eco-friendly? So am I cooking with things that are toxic in my kitchen? You know, do I have that old aluminum baking sheet that I've had for 40 years? You know, so thinking in that eco-friendly way, even down to what is your dish soap, right? Are we using, you know, toxins in our dishwasher, in our dish soap? These things over time can make a difference. So products could be, you know, good products like supplements or food or protein powders, which we have to be very careful with protein powders, to again, what our kitchen cooking tools are in our kitchen. Functional and superfoods. Functional foods are things like I think about like mushrooms, reishi and cordyceps, and you know, how do we bring these foods into you know, our life? And one of my favorite ways is making a super smoothie. I make a smoothie in the morning, and oh my gosh, you should see the stuff that I put in it. But it's like mushrooms and chlorophyll, and right, there are ways that we can get good products and put these and whole foods into something like a smoothie. And then how do we cook with these things as well and bring them into our, you know, fairly regular regimen? And then detox, I already kind of covered this a little bit in products. Detox is really talking about toxins in our food and in our environment. So thinking eco-friendly kitchen, how do we reduce our toxic exposure? This is something we talk a lot about in functional medicine. The research is out there where we know that we are just exposed to a lot of toxins. And I always say, you know, in the wellness world, we think of detox as oh, it's, I should do this. It's springtime. I should do this juice cleanse. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm really talking about how do we reduce our toxic load through using, eco-friendly, products to good organic, local, good quality meat, to when we bring in certain things like vegetables and herbs into those naturally help us detox. So it's kind of a broad topic, but that is what that means. So what is functional medicine? So functional medicine is a personalized and integrative approach to healthcare, which involves understanding the prevention, management, and root causes of complex chronic diseases. The ultimate goal really is to heal disease and to promote a healthy life. And a healthy life is not defined as simply an absence of disease, but rather a positive vitality filled with energy, joy, gratitude, and balance. I love this. It really, right? It's so much. I feel that conventional medicine is missing a lot of this, right? We're not teaching this in conventional medicine. And functional medicine does not reject conventional medicine. Instead, it uses conventional medicine as a foundation on which to add new dimensions in the evaluation, management, and prevention of chronic illness. I would say this, especially being a hospitalist, I saw the sickest people, and we know through science that most chronic illnesses are epigenetic, are from our environment. And so, yes, we can have the genes, but we know through science that through our environment, which we do have control over, right, are getting good sleep, nutrition, movement, that we can manipulate these genes most of the time. So functional medicine lifestyle pillars. So in functional medicine, I love my training so much in functional medicine because there's it's a lot of biochemistry. So how are things working, right? In conventional medicine, we say, oh, you have reflux, here's a pill, right? Oh, you have, you have constipation, here's a pill. You have hypertension, here's a pill. You should exercise and, and eat better. But we don't teach people how to do that. In functional medicine, is complex as the trainings are, really looking at biochemical pathways, the energy pathway, the microbiome, inflammation pathways. The foundation, it always goes back to the foundation first. And I actually created I just ran my first cohort of a 3-month course, and it was all on these foundational lifestyle pillars, talking about, why is it important to bring relaxation into our life? What does that look like? How is stress affecting the body? And again, remember, this is all individualized. So as a functional medicine practitioner, I'm doing a big deep dive and an intake, looking at what is going on with somebody in their own life. And this can include things like trauma. And, when we think about, right, having cancer, having a chronic illness, these things are traumatic to us. They stop our lives where we, right? It is a diagnosis that nobody wants to hear. And, within that, we really have, I think it's important. What I've learned about stress and trauma is that it's important. I'm sure you guys know this better than I do, that it's so important to move through this trauma and to heal it in a lot of ways. So we think about a lot of that in functional medicine. And then movement, this isn't just, high intensity exercise. This could be walking, but we know that like sitting is the new smoking. There's some really good research on this. So, and if we work out in the morning and then we sit all day at a desk, or we're kind of sedentary throughout the day, it almost negates the exercise we've had in the morning. So, several kind of, just getting up and walking and moving your body, walking up and down the stairs, those things can make a big difference. Nutrition and community. We know that the science with community and is very important, and people who are lonely, the studies show, actually have a shorter life. So community is really important. All right, so there's functional medicine, and then what is functional nutrition? And this is kind of a bigger umbrella term. I'm sure you've heard of, diets such as the paleo diet, which a lot of people have a kind of interpretation of. There's now the Pegan diet, which is paleo and vegan. It's really is talking about how did our ancestors eat in a lot of ways? And why do we have so much chronic illness? And so functional nutrition really is an umbrella term for, thinking about what foods can really nourish our body. And right here I say, it uses food as a natural medicine to help restore balance, replete nutrient deficiencies, heal the gut, increase energy. So energy, when we talk about energy, I'm thinking about literally like energy in the cell at the mitochondrial level, which makes energy, decrease inflammation, and more. Here are a few ways in which functional nutrition is different from conventional practices. So functional nutrition is personal, right? There's not one diet for everybody. And functional nutrition focuses on the patient instead of the disease. It's a personalized method of optimizing your health based on your individual genetics, lab values, lifestyle, and more. So, thinking about genetics, there's some really interesting research with nutrigenomics right now. So, for me, I might really do well with eating an apple a day. Somebody else might not, right? And so, not that, right? We pick and choose, right? Within all of this, right? It's all within, and I would say, unless you've had genetic testing done in that world, which is becoming more available, thinking about just knowing, and really the takeaway is that, one person might think that like a vegan diet is the way to go. Well, a lot of people will do well with a vegan diet and a lot of people won't. So having that flexibility, that mindset to not be stuck in that one thing, that this is the best thing, that is really a foundation to this. I'm a big believer in experimentation in a safe way. So, right, we're all unique. And I go back to this saying again, we are all unique biochemical individuals. And so again, having that flexibility to really, and I'm sure you guys have had this in your own lives of being stuck that this is the best diet, and if everybody else isn't doing this one diet, then they're not right. And so we don't really believe that in functional medicine. There are lots of different diets that people can do. What we really, the foundation is really just trying to move into eating more real food and getting rid of the processed, highly processed foods that cause inflammation. All right, I need to move. You guys are at the top of my screen. Let me move you to the side. Great. Okay. So food is medicine. This is a huge foundation of functional medicine. And we know this by, sorry, I'm just moving. You guys are right in the middle of my screen. Okay, perfect. So in functional medicine, we're looking at the science of what food and nutrients is doing to our bodies. And we know that, right here, right, 25,000 plus phytochemicals in the plant kingdom. Like, that's just mind blowing to me. Our bodies use these chemicals found in food to beneficially influence our biological systems, including our gene transcription. And what we eat affects our gut microbiome for the good or the worse. And so, right, if we're eating a lot of inflammatory processed foods and unhealthy seed oils and inflammatory processed flours and grains, right, that can affect our microbiome for the worse. And this is very well studied. So eating lots of fiber, fermented foods, probiotic rich foods are really good for our gut. And food can be the biggest driver of imbalances in our biological networks. And it can be the biggest lever for rapid change, the reversal of disease, creation of health, improving and supporting our body. So I'm going to talk about a couple different, again, foundations of functional nutrition. And there are a few I didn't mention, but I'll move forward and then I'll mention what I didn't mention at the end. So gut healing foods, fiber. Most of us do not get enough fiber. This is very well studied. When we look at the blue zones in the world, and the blue zones are these areas in the world where they have very little, much less disease, and people live a lot longer. They're not getting these diseases like hypertension, obesity, hypothyroidism, and because they're eating more of a kind of ancestral natural diet. And they're getting more fiber, which is very important for our gut microbiome. So the most essential fiber is called prebiotics, and we can get these through whole foods such as artichokes, asparagus, plantains, seaweed. Fiber-rich foods will keep your inner garden, so your microbiome, healthy. Think vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and beans. You'll start to see a theme in my talk here. Probiotics, you can take a supplement. And the rule of thumb with probiotics is some people will be on the same probiotic, for years. The rule of thumb is every 6 to 8 months, you just want to switch up the bacteria that you're taking. So switch up the probiotic. But also increasing on a regular basis, we should be eating fermented foods like sauerkraut, pickles, tempeh, miso, natto, kimchi, fermented yogurt, and kombucha. And then nutrients that support our gut health. Zinc. And so when I have a patient who's coming to me with GI stuff, or when we think about leaky gut, which is really a thing, the gut cells are actually a little bit leaky, we need things to heal that, such as zinc. So I'm a big believer in really trying to encourage people to get these from food sources, and we can get them from supplements, but we should be leaning in towards the food sources. So also omega fats, such as fish, sardines, herring, salmon, regulate inflammation and heal leaky gut. Vitamin A, so think beef liver, cod liver oil, salmon, goat cheese, again, regulate gut immune function and heal those leaky gut cells. Collagen-rich foods, bone broth, kudzu, which is a seaweed, and polyphenols. Nope. Sorry, guys, I'm moving you guys all over the screen. Polyphenols such as black elderberries, strawberries, red raspberries, all those, colorful berries, and then cacao powder, dark chocolate, coffee, tea, flaxseed meal, all high in polyphenols. All right, immune healing foods. So all these 25,000 plus phytochemicals found in foods are potent anti-inflammatories. Think fruits, vegetables, spices, certain oils like olive oil, right, contains chemicals that activate the same anti-inflammatory pathways, receptors as ibuprofen. Spices such as turmeric, ginger, rosemary, and especially if you cook your meat with spices, it actually can neutralize the potential inflammation properties of certain meats. Omega-3 fatty acids found in wild foods such as fish, seafood, nuts and seeds, mushrooms, shiitake, mate, reishi, chaga, turkey tail, cordyceps contain immune regulating anti-cancer compounds such as polysaccharides. So, the mushrooms, and I'm very interested in mushrooms. They've been around for obviously thousands and thousands of years, but the science we have on mushrooms is amazing. And I really think that everybody should be including these into their diet. And this is something very interesting in the cancer world. Things like turkey tail has some very interesting research in it. So I encourage you to talk to your provider or find somebody who is knowledgeable in especially mushrooms. Foods rich in vitamins, minerals, boost immunity, reduce inflammation, including vitamin C, zinc, selenium, vitamin D. And so at the very bottom, I just put, ideas of like, well, where do we get vitamin C? We always think of oranges, which the whole orange is okay, but guava, parsley, oh, excuse my typos here, pumpkin seeds and oysters for zinc, Brazil nuts. Nope. Sorry. You guys are blocking my viewpoint here. And then mushrooms, I can't see the bottom. There we go. Brazil nuts and sardines for selenium, and porcini mushrooms and herring for vitamin D. See, you'll start to see a theme here over and over again of, what I'm really promoting is a nutrient dense diet that affects the immune system, our gut health, and then energy foods. And we think of like energy in this way of like having energy. And I want you to think about it that way, but I'm thinking about it at the cellular level. And so in the cells, we have our mitochondria, which as we age and in chronic illness, we can really have a problem with not having our mitochondria are kind of sick and broken, or we're nutrient depleted and we're not getting enough things to help feed those mitochondria. So I'll read my slide. I know it's kind of busy, but the energy stored in food forms fats, protein, carbohydrates, right? Combined with oxygen inside our cells called the mitochondria. The food and oxygen then produce the form of energy used by our bodies is called ATP. I think everybody remembers that from science class, and it powers everything. We need this to be alive, literally. So some foods burn clean while others create a lot of exhaust that damage our tissues and our cells and produces free radicals that cause oxidation. So, right, similar to rusting and inflammation in our bodies. Our bodies produce our own antioxidants to protect us from this damage. When we overeat processed foods, our antioxidant systems can't keep up. Our modern nutrient depleted diet provides very few mitochondrial boosters. So I also want to say and add into this that I said when we overeat processed food, our antioxidant systems can't keep up. However, other times that it happens under stress, right? And so many of us are just under, chronic stress. And I have a very low threshold for chronic stress. I think most of us really do experience stress at a level that affects our health. Well, we know when we're under chronic stress that we burn through our antioxidants like vitamin C and other things, minerals and vitamins like magnesium. So it's something to keep in mind. And the studies really do support that most people, like 80% to 90% of people, are micronutrient deficient. Okay, so our mitochondria need specific vitamins, minerals, B vitamins, coenzyme Q10, carnitine, zinc, magnesium, selenium, lipoic acid, N-acetylcysteine, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, vitamin K, and others. And so thinking about, there we go. In eating foods like blueberries, pomegranate seeds, right? Those rich polyphenol rich foods, grass-fed beef and butter, broccoli, sardines. So those are, sardines, fatty acids, extra virgin olive oil, avocados, almonds, and MCT oil can really help boost those mitochondria. All right, so this is my last slide about you'll see. After the detox foods, the things that I didn't go into were cardiovascular health, hormones, and neurotransmitters. And we'll just have to do that another day maybe. So, but detox foods, right? Again, going back to detox and thinking about, again, we have this culture where we think about detoxing in this way of, oh, I'm going to do a juice fast, or I'm going to drink, lemon maple syrup, and I forgot the name of it, but there's a very famous detox. And again, we should be thinking about how do we include these foods on a regular daily basis that help our body detox. So number one, drinking clean filtered water is really important. Actually, our water sources are polluted. Ithaca City water has a lot of chlorine in it. Just saying. I can smell it out of the faucet. So thinking about really, making an effort to filter your water, and when in drinking enough water helps us remove waste through our kidneys and our gut. So most people don't drink enough water. Really aiming for that, at least 8 glasses a day, if not a couple more than that. Fiber, essential for helping waste products get through the colon quickly. So many people have slow transit and constipation. And so, right, this is something we want to fix because we are detoxing. That's one way that we're detoxing from our body. So liver support, there are many pathways, methylation, I won't go into all of them, but there are many pathways. And one of the best food groups that help support detox are cruciferous vegetables. So broccoli, collards, kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. I also want to add in there, I want to add in broccoli sprouts, which have a lot of sulforaphane, which is one of my favorite foods because it really can help that detox pathway. There's between broccoli and broccoli sprouts, there's like 100 times more sulforaphane in the broccoli sprouts than the broccoli. And this family of veggies also contains sulfur, hence I said the sulforaphane, which enhances the production of glutathione, which is, oops, my little typo, the body's master antioxidant. And so I see this when I do advanced testing that people are low in these antioxidants, and I do look at glutathione. So again, when we're eating this nutrient-dense diet, we are enhancing the production of our antioxidants, which are helping us detox better. Garlic and onions also can contain sulfur. Adequate amino acids from protein are an essential fuel. I actually do advanced testing with amino acids and see many times that people are low in amino acids or their precursors, and this could be from several different reasons. Green tea, right? It can bind to heavy metals. And the liver needs adequate B vitamins. So many people I see low in these B vitamins. And all of these other listed minerals and vitamins here help with the chemical reaction needed for detoxification. And our liver really needs this array of phytochemicals, right? And so I won't read all of them, but right, you're kind of seeing a pattern here of really the focus should really, we should lean into a nutrient dense diet. And so the takeaway is every level of your health is impacted by what you eat. And this is even included with our mood. We know that, that our mood can be negatively or positively impacted by what we eat. The other thing I had said I didn't go over was cardiovascular health, neurotransmitters, hormones, but also metabolic health, which could go into it's a crossover into cardiovascular, but metabolic could be blood sugar dysregulation. So everything we've covered up until now really does support good, healthy blood sugar levels and decreases inflammation. I love Michael Pollan. He has a famous quote, eat food, not too much, mostly plants. So when you're feeling stuck of what to eat, think about, okay, how many plants have I had today? How can I expand, right? Are we eating the rainbow? How can you make a salad and add in herbs like parsley and cilantro and make it your meals really colorful with roasted veggies? So what to eat, right? Eating the rainbow, plant rich, not necessarily plant based. So again, this idea that when we're looking at our plate, at least 50% of it should be plant-based. A bulk of diet consists of plant foods, high in fiber, which as you're eating more vegetables, you'll get more fiber, and also, whole natural grains, things like quinoa, right? Those can be really great fiber while we're kind of removing those processed, boxed, highly inflammatory foods. We want to have foods, right? When we're eating lots of vegetables and fruits and whole foods, we're getting all of those phytonutrients, high quality protein and healthy fats. So high quality protein, I think about, wild caught fish, low in mercury, things like salmon and sardines and mackerel and oysters and healthy fats like lots of extra virgin olive oil, avocado, nuts and seeds. All right, I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about mindful eating and then habits. And so mindful eating, right? Mindfulness, and I think everybody knows about what mindfulness is, but mindful eating is really a foundation of the Super Kitchen Project because it's bringing in this awareness, right? It's right here. It says using mindfulness to reach a state of full attention to your experiences, cravings, physical cues when eating. And lots of people have done the mindful eating exercise where, and I wish we had time for this because it's such a beautiful exercise where you bring a little piece of dark chocolate to the group and somebody leads you through. And I'll quickly explain it because you could maybe do this if you haven't had dinner yet. Just take one little food. Maybe it's a grape tomato or whatever. It could be anything. I had somebody do this once who had been traveling and she had like the trail mix from the gas station. And later she shared that it was a very eye-opening experience to think about where did this food come from. And so you're really looking at the food and you want it to be a healthy whole food, like a dark piece of chocolate or a grape, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, where did this come from? Who grew the cacao beans? and who were the farmers and what was the process and who made it and what are the ingredients. And then you're smelling it and then you're putting it into your mouth and you're letting it melt and you're really tasting the taste and the flavors, and as you're slowing down, right, it's a different experience. And we can use mindful eating as a tool to help us just slow down, which is really great when we're eating, because a lot of us eat mindlessly, or we're watching TV, or we're driving and we're eating, or we're working and we're eating. When we slow down, not only does it greatly benefit our digestion, it kicks us over into that rest and digest parasympathetic state where our body is allowed to digest and we get more digestive enzymes mixed in. But we can also use it as a cue as we're eating to just take some deep breaths, asking questions such as, oh, I ate this plate of food. I'm feeling I'm still hungry. I shouldn't be hungry because I had this big plate of food. Maybe I'll just wait a few minutes. Our actually satiety doesn't kick in until about 20 minutes after we start eating. So these little changes in the way that we eat can help us, with the physical cues of, are we hungry? I love doing this too when I'm thinking about, feeling like I want a snack in the afternoon. I thought, oh, I just had this big lunch an hour ago. Am I hungry or am I thirsty or am I stressed, right? So just, it's an opportunity to check in with yourself. Mindful eating involves eating slowly and without distraction, right? Listening to these physical hunger cues and eating only when you're full, right? We went over all of this, appreciating your food. I love this, learning to cope with guilt and anxiety about food. A lot of people have food trauma, and that's something that I also am bringing into the Super Kitchen Project. And how do we heal that? And I think mindful eating is a great tool to start healing our trauma with food as well. I'm going to shift gears a little bit now. And like I said in the beginning, I had this presentation, my Super Kitchen Project signature presentation, and I don't have access to it. So I took kind of two presentations and put them together. But I really wanted to talk about habits and mindset and leave you with some tools to start thinking about your own habits and mindset. And these can be applied not just to your nutrition and your kitchen, but all aspects of lifestyle. And so becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. When I started doing habit training, I thought, oh, interesting, identity. Well, identity is the foundation of habit change. Who do we identify as? True behavior change is identity change. And I really want that to sink in for you guys, because when you start to think about it and you think about every decision that you've made in your life, from being young and going to college or having a job or doing a training, we actually really shift into the identity and become that person. Becoming a parent, right? That becomes our identity. This is the key to behavior change, by the way, is identity change. It's one thing to say, I am the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I am the type of person who is this. Really owning that. And so when people come to me in my practice, like, they're coming to me for this transformation, for habit change, to reverse or improve a chronic illness. And we talk a lot about this because this is really the foundation of starting down that pathway. It's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying beliefs that lead to your past behavior. You have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. And this is where I see that, culturally, right, that go big or go home. We have these really good intentions and we have the motivation, but it's the mindset and the skill set that we end up not kind of following through with where we want to be. Many people walk through life in a cognitive slumber, blindly following the norms attached to their identity. And so think about listening to your own internal talk. I'm terrible at directions. I'm not a morning person. That's probably one of my favorite ones, because I think my son has used that forever. And I say, you're just making that up. What do you mean you're not a morning person? I'm always late. right? These are the things that we tell ourselves. And again, like we have power over this. And when you have a bit of a story to yourself for years, it's easy to slide into these mental grooves and accept it as a fact. Your identity emerges out of your habits. You were not born with a preset of beliefs. Every belief, including those about yourself, have been learned through conditioning and through our experiences. Your habits are how you embody your identity. Example, when you make your bed, you embody the identity of an organized person. When you train every day, you embody the identity of an athlete. I've actually used this one. I'm not an athlete. I never have been, but as I'm trying to be healthy in my mid-age, that I say to myself when I go to work out, I'm an athlete. And even though I'm not, but it's that mindset. It's embracing that identity. I bring my sneakers with me on vacation and I walk every day and I do a little exercise every day. Your habits contribute most of the evidence that shapes your identity. Each habit is like a suggestion. Hey, maybe this is who I am, right? This is a gradual evolution. And again, I brought this into the Super Kitchen project, but this could be in any aspect of our life. And I love this, but it's going back to one of the Super Kitchen pillars, which is really redesigning. And so we're so hard on ourselves and we try so hard and we think that we should be perfect. And I love the idea of redesigning anything and really asking yourself, right, is thinking about, hey, maybe this is who I am. I'm going to try this. Everything's an experiment and it's okay to change and shift. It is a gradual evolution, right? Small habits can make meaningful differences by providing evidence of a new identity. We need to be nicer to ourselves, I think. As evidence begins to change, the story you tell yourself begins to change as well. So decide what type of person you want to be. Prove it to yourself with small wins, right? We don't need to make these big changes. It's really about these small little shifts and changes. Who do you wish to become? Start there and work your way backwards from the results. You want to be the type of person results you want to the type of person who can get those results. I love that. I love the idea, and I've done this myself in my own life, of thinking about where do I want to be and how do I work my way backwards from there. And then it's easier to put things into practice in your own life. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but who you wish to become. Again, that goes back to identity. I think it allows us to ask the question, okay, since we're talking about health and nutrition, to ask the question, all right, well, if I want to be somebody who's healthy and that's important to me, then, right, then to be healthy, I should eat, right, lots of more vegetables. Let's even say lots. Let's just say more vegetables and less sugar. And if I want to be healthy, we can bring this even to, I shouldn't maybe stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning and get 6 hours of sleep, because we know, right? So you can start asking that question and then making, decisions and behaviors based on that. Small changes. Okay. So there's different ways to do this. There's the 1% motto, which if anybody has not read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, I highly recommend it. And he really talks about if we, every day we get 1% better in a year, think about how that adds up. We underestimate what we can do in a long period of time, like a year, and we overestimate what we can do in a short amount of time. So give yourself a break, right? And really realize that the 1% really makes a difference, right? And that could go the opposite way too, where that 1%, if we're just like, well, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, this is my doctor told me that I'm just aging and getting old. So, right, we don't have to accept that, and we can always be leaning in towards the 1% in the better way. 80-20% rule, where 80% of the time, right, no diet is about being perfect. 80% of the time we're eating within this realm of a whole food anti-inflammatory diet. And I would even argue like 10 to 20%, right? We have flexibility if we're traveling or we're out to eat or was a special occasion. And then Tiny Habits is BJ Fogg. He's actually who I did my habit coaching with. And he really talks about stacking habits. And I think that James Clear in Atomic Habits also does as well. But when we think about tiny habits, again, it's about creating these small little changes, and stacking habits could be attaching a new habit to something you already do. And BJ Fogg's example is that he wanted to get stronger. So he said, okay, the science shows that if I attach a habit to something I already do, that I will remember to do that habit. So he wanted to do push-ups, so he attached it to when he flushed the toilet. So every time he went to the bathroom, flushed the toilet, washed his hands, he'd have to do 10 push-ups, right? So you're attaching it to something you already do. It's kind of like if you, I think so many people, right? We've bought supplements, we put them in the cabinet, and then we forget to take them. So if you're trying to take a multivitamin anymore, put it someplace that you already do something every day, like you have your cup of coffee, maybe it's sitting next to your coffee. This is one example. All right. So the thing I'm going to leave you with, and then I've started doing this with all of my clients, and I'm going to be bringing it into the Super Kitchen project, is creating your wellness vision. There's like 7 pillars to this, and I'm not going to go through all of them because of time, but I'll talk about this one, and I have a next slide. But thinking about your own wellness vision, it's kind of like having are they called vision boards? I don't know. There's another name for them where you can do it with cutting stuff out of magazines, right? You're really think about it as carving out the space to think about what is important to you. This is very personalized, and asking yourself, what is your why? And so as I've started to work with people in this realm over the last 5 years, but even going back 25 years ago, I've been working intermittently with people in the wellness world, that I started to realize a few years ago that it's great. I can tell you, or lead you and educate with what you should be eating in some realm, right? Again, it's individualized. Or I do advanced testing in functional medicine, and we can look at kind of under the hood, more advanced biochemistry. But if we don't have the mindset, which includes our identity, right? This wellness vision comes into this. This is almost like the foundation of getting you from A to Z. If a transformation or some changes that, and I think what we all really want is we want to live, we want good health span. We talk a lot about longevity, right? But we want a good health span for the amount of time that we're on this planet. We want to feel as good as we possibly can. And so thinking about creating your wellness vision and, looking at this as some examples. I have another slide, which is like the second focus is, I love this. Imagine you're watching a show like this is of your best, healthiest self. What does it look like? And ask yourself, what activities do you see? Where do you see yourself? What foods do you see yourself eating? Even if we find ourselves that in a place where we're really chronically sick, we can still do this. And it can be this, it can be whatever you want it to be. But I think when we take the time and we journal about this, or we create a board about this, or we spend some time carving out that space, it allows us to really kind of dig in a little bit deeper, which, I think we just live in this busy world where we're just busy. We're just busy, and we don't carve out the time to think about this stuff. So the Super Kitchen project is bringing this in to the course where we're going to do some exercises on this and creating our own wellness vision. And I started doing it with all my patients, and it's really fun. I highly encourage you to do that. And again, knowing your why. right? Why is this important to you? And we can use this in any aspect when we think about behavior change and even think about adopting a healthier diet, because when we know our why, then it allows us to dig in a little bit deeper. And again, it's helping us lean into that 1%. All right, that is the end of my presentation. I thank you guys so much for being here. This is how you find me. I have my website, alliebirch.com. I have the superkitchenproject.com, which is a landing page for the course I'm building. This is a brand new project I've been working on for a year, and I'm just launching my course. I have an Instagram where my goal is really to put out a lot of good information. I am going to have a course, but I'm also, I have a free ebook that I'm happy to share with you guys, and I can connect with the staff here. And it's all about kind of leaning into your kitchen a little bit more, where you can, it's all about your spice cabinet, why spices are good, how to clean it out, right? Again, part of the Super Kitchen Project is that organization piece that helps us lean into cooking more. And one last thing I'll say is that I have a lot. I'm going to close you guys out here. Can I stop sharing? Okay. Okay. I'll just leave you with this too, is that, thinking about our kitchen, what I was hearing from people and why I created this was that I heard so many people say, like, I've heard this from people. I go into my kitchen, I have guilt and I have no connection with my kitchen, or I don't have time to cook, or I don't like to cook. And I think that most of us have never been taught how to cook. And then, I realized that this is something we have to do all the time, right? So it's kind of a joke in our household. It's like, oh, again, I'm always like, oh, didn't I just go to the grocery store? So this is not about being perfect, but it is about leaning in and looking and shifting the lens of how do we look at our kitchen in this way that we can not only set ourselves up for success by creating a system, but really bringing in mindful eating and falling in love with healthy food. Yeah, so I've seen this, and so this is really born out of working with patients that like 90% of people I think that I've worked with really struggle in this area. So if this is you, you're not alone. This is something I think a lot of us struggle with. So I'd love to open it up to questions, and I can probably take about 10 minutes and then I have to go, but thank you so much for inviting me. And does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you very much, Allie. This has been wonderful. If you could send me that free ebook,
Yes.
I will share it with everyone that's here.
Great, great. I will send it. I'm just wrapping up my landing page. So what I'll do is I'll send the landing page, and then if you do the free, it's up to you. I could send you, I'll send you the link to the free ebook, and then I'll send you my landing page. And if you want to follow along and join my email list, that's wonderful too. I will also, I think I'll be launching the course this summer, and it's going to be about 8 to 10 weeks where as a group, so there's pre-recorded modules, but we'll meet once a week. And the goal will be to pantry kitchen clean out together. What do I restock with? What do I cook with? And then really digging into the mindset and the wellness vision. And we'll be doing kind of a elimination detox. The elimination diet is a terrible name for a diet, but what it leans you into, a lot of us have food sensitivities. So it's actually a really good excuse to kind of like eat from the rainbow. How do I include more colorful foods into my diet and get rid of inflammatory foods? So it will be really fun. And then I'm also over time going to create smaller courses if people are struggling with inflammation or gut health or metabolic blood sugar problems. So yeah, what did you guys think? This is the first time I've presented this. I'm like in the thick of launching this program.
Yes, Kim.
I thought it was fantastic. I'm very interested in the courses.
Oh, good. Well, join my email list. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was excellent.
Yes.
I had a question. You mentioned bad seed oils. Which ones specifically
should
yeah.
we avoid?
So the rule of thumb with oils is, vegetable oil, canola oil, even you'll see like a lot of oils in, they're like in everything, even health foods like the sunflower and all of those can be rancid and inflammatory. And so even like, Annie's salad dressing that you're like, oh, this is Annie's, it's in the health food store. Well, it's full of canola oil, which we know is highly processed and inflammatory. So the rule of thumb with oils is, grass-fed butter and ghee are okay if you can tolerate the butter. And a lot of people do, even if they don't tolerate dairy, they'll tolerate butter. But so ghee and then a little bit of coconut oil. Some people go way overboard with the coconut oil. A little coconut oil is okay, like for roasting or cooking or baking. Lots of extra virgin olive oil. We have lots of studies on the Mediterranean diet, and olive oil is like magical. So good quality in a glass bottle, roast your veggies, pour extra on your salad. You can't go overboard with olive oil. And then avocado oil is a great oil that is at a higher smoke temp. And so like the seed oil. So when I'm looking and I'm in the grocery store and I do look at what's in, I highly recommend reading labels and trying the best job that you can. It's almost even hard to find an all olive oil salad dressing. So make your own, yeah.
What about sesame oil for certain?
Yeah, sesame oil is a little bit better. And I would say, toasted sesame oil, when you do like the cold press, is almost better just to use that. Like if you're making some like Asian stir fry, right? You don't really cook with it. You don't heat it up. You just add it in at the very end is okay. Yeah. Fun. All right. Any other questions?
No, it was very informative, Ally. Thank you very
good.
much.
Excellent. A lot of thought went into that. Thank you.
Oh, good. What did you guys think of the habit mindset stuff?
Very
It's-
different.
Get you thinking.
That's the point. That's the
Good. The mindfulness and everything is very important.
Yeah, and I think the takeaway is that, all of us are trying. We were never taught this. And I think a lot of people get discouraged because they try to change their habits and then it's hard. So you're not alone. I think it's just the system is, so it's great. Like create your wellness vision and think more about that. And you can actually Google wellness vision and come up with all those questions and do some journaling. It can be really helpful, just to think about. I always think about it like carving out the space, right? It's like, and I think about that with our nutrition and kitchen. It's like nobody's talking about, like our doctors and providers are saying you should eat healthier, but nobody's teaching us this. And also when you're shopping in the store, shop the perimeter, right? Veggies, right? There's the meat and seafood. When you go into the middle of the store, be really intentional about, I'm going to get olive oil, because food is a very interesting thing, right? Again, it's not being perfect, but it's emotional. It's from our childhood, and use recipes. There's some great cookbooks out there that Dr. Mark Hyman's a great functional medicine person. He has a great website with free recipes. He has a beautiful book called What the Heck Should I Cook? I actually brought to Florida some of my cookbooks because I'm creating this course right now. And yeah, traditional, it's just, think about like just the traditional foods, right? How do we get back to what our great grandparents were making, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And I love the thought about making that small change, because so many times people try to make a huge change, they fail, they go, I can't do it. I
Mhm.
love the 1% motto. I mean, that's something that would work for me.
Wonderful. And James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, is a great, easy book to read. And it's just like, it's all these aha moments, like, oh, okay, that makes, it helps you kind of put things into practice too.
Well,
So
good.
great. Well, thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. It was a pleasure to be here. And, maybe at some time in the future when I, again, like, I spent all this time creating this signature. I'd like to do this talk over and over again, and it will get better. This was a very kind of rough, like, because I lost my PowerPoint, but I'm so happy that it worked out. And I hope to see you in my Super Kitchen Project community.
All right.
Yep,
Thank you very
really
much,
good.
Ally.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night,
you,
everybody.
Ally.
Yep.
Good
You too.
evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Monica.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Have a great evening.